Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Listen Along. I am your host, William. I'm also the drummer for Glass Beach. And today we are going to be listening to Light Exchanges by Sister Species. And I am joined by Emily of Sister Species. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
As always, I'm keeping my guest in the void for now, for some reason, but we'll get to Emily here pretty soon. And I just want to get some stuff out at the top. If you've never joined us before, then what we do here is listen to the entirety of an album, start to finish, no stopping, and we're doing that live on stream, but the music won't be playing live on stream, so you'll have to bring up a streaming provider of your choice or whatever. I will be using the Green Music app. You can use the fruit with the bite taken out of it or any other thing. Insert the joke that I usually do about Deezer here. Anything you use, as long as you can listen to the record along with us, that would be great. I've done many of these. You can find all of them on the Second Glass Beach channel on YouTube. That's the Second Glass Beach channel on YouTube. There's a playlist called Listen Along, or you can find that playlist with bit.ly/Listen Along YT. And the L of listen, the A of along, and the Y and T are all capitalized, which matters because it's a bit.ly. And so again, bit.ly/Listen Along YT will take you to the playlist where all of these are. Upcoming stuff I have, I believe next week is Nightlife with their new EP, New Low. So I'm super stoked about that. And then after that, I have like Carol, and we're doing Spill, and I have so many people. Like Oceanator is coming on sometime, I think October. I that far off, but it's exciting. I'm stoked. We got people in the chat. We got TWIABP. Is that The World Is a Beautiful Place? I'm sure. I think it is. Sorrowful Yolk is in here, as always. Hello. Steven Strick says hello. Jacob Village is in here. Going in today's Listen Along blind this time. Super excited. Haven't listened to the record yet. That's dope. It's going to be a cool experience to be able to hear from the source before having heard the record before. It is and not LMAO. Okay, cool. Steven Strick says absolutely stellar album. Hell yeah. I agree. Yay. I agree entirely. Another thing that's going on, so I'm going to pull up this image here actually. First, visit the band's website, Bandcamp. Purchase the album, the merch if you can. I encourage you, if you have the means. They have vinyl and shirts still available. I partook recently, and I encourage all of you, if you have the means, to do so as well. If you support the artists on these streams, in turn it supports me. If you really think about it, but if you don't think about it too hard. Then after that, we open a streaming service provider of your choice. Choice, am I right? Wait for 3, 2, 1, go. That was not it, but that is what it's going to sound like when I do it. I'll be doing a countdown. On go, you'll hit play, and we should be synced together. And that's for you as well, Emily, as well as the audience. Emily will be synced with me. I'll be synced with Emily. Emily and I will both be synced with you. It should be good. Pretty
Group
close.
sync.
Syncing up. And then exclamation point listen in the chat. If you, I see that Sorrowful Yolk has already done it. Exclamation point listen in the chat will take you to sisterspecies.com. And we'll also take you to the Bandcamp, where you can find Light Exchanges and purchase the vinyl and purchase merch and do all sorts of stuff. Again, I seriously encourage you to do so if you have the means. Well worth it. The album is amazing. I can't wait to get my vinyl so that I can listen to it on vinyl, and then also set up my record player.
I love sending mail too. So, and my post office is very sweet. We're buds. So it's an excuse for me to see my friends at the post office.
You're friends with your post office?
Yeah, they know me. I go in there pretty often. So, yep.
Right on. Cool. Oh, we got Overzealous in the chat. Hey, Austin, what's up? Hell yeah. Austin, have you heard this one before? Or are you going into it without having heard it either? Austin's here like every single week. So that's
nice.
why that's Austin was on here to when I did Origami Angel recently. Austin was like in the room with me because he was visiting. It was a fun time.
Oh.
Okay, last bit of business before I let people see Emily instead of keeping Emily hidden away. Glass Beach is going on tour tentatively in November, and I just want to go over that really quick. So we have tour poster. So, as you'll see here, it's a U.S. tour. We're doing Los Angeles, Phoenix, Odessa, Dallas, Austin, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Washington, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Columbus, Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis, and Denver. And actually, we reached out to my friend's band, Andrew, who is the one who introduced me to you. His band is like hopefully going to be opening for us in Minneapolis because we're old good friends, and it's we haven't had a chance to play together since college. So
Yay, that's so sweet.
yeah. But as you'll see here on the tour poster, let's get a little bit of a closer look here. I'll disappear this one. Washington is sold out. Philadelphia's second day is sold out. The 23rd is that one. So we added a second show in Philadelphia on the 22nd, the day before. And so that's sold out. Brooklyn is sold out. But all of the other ones, you can still get tickets. Chicago is actually at about like 65% sold. So if you are around that area and you don't want to miss us, I would encourage you to get your tickets soon. Minneapolis, I believe, is creeping up on half sold. And as well as what are we looking at here? Atlanta, that's right. Atlanta, Georgia is also about halfway sold, and we haven't even announced openers for those yet. And I have a feeling like when we do, it's not going to be very long before they fully sell out. So check that stuff out. It's going to be a good time. And let's get along to the listen along, shall we? Well, I'm going to the screen where they can see you now. Here we go. Wee!
Yay! Hey,
Yay!
Yay. Fun.
Oh, and I need to adjust it because I hadn't done that. So here we go. I'm doing it. Live on stream, everybody.
Nice work behind the scenes.
Thank you.
I'll just show everyone my bouquet while you do it. I made this bouquet from my yard, but then I realized I'm sitting on a couch, so I can't put it anywhere. Anyways, if you have questions about the bouquet, let me know. It looks like this.
Yeah, can we get questions about the bouquet in the chat, please? Could we? Everyone has to know about this bouquet.
If you're wondering, I'll just tell you it's goldenrod, which gets a bad rap because people think it causes allergies, even though it's ragweed, which blooms at the same time, which is more of the allergy thing. But one of my friend's grandmas just passed away, who was a florist, and I was asking my friend what her grandma's favorite flowers were, and she was like, oh, she loved putting goldenrod in bouquets. I was like, all right, and so this is for Sarah's grandma. I'm into goldenrod right now. Also, I just have it like grows very in a weed-like fashion, so I have a lot of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. Fun fact. Fun fact.
Well, I got it figured out, so here we are. You'll see to the side of us that this is the Bandcamp for Sister Species. Light Exchanges is right there. And again, ! Listen in the chat. We'll bring up a link to the Bandcamp. We'll bring up a link to sisterspecies.com where the main like image that you go to, or the main thing, there's a video for heat death. But wait, arms around me, parentheses, arms around me.
Hold me here, but I like arms around me.
No, dang it.
that sounds also nice.
Or hold me here.
Similar
Yeah.
sentiment. It got the vibe.
Yeah. I never know the names of any songs because I only listen to albums in their entirety, like full start to finish. So I have no idea what any of the song titles are. I know Cottonwood Tree, I think, but only because it says Cottonwood Tree over and over.
Yeah, many times. It's true. Some of our songs we also have like special, the name, like Start With the Mess was called like Face Hands for like, we have like several times where we played it out and just like called it Face Hands. And then we were like, okay, so we can't just put it on the album as Face Hands. So like, what are we going to actually call it? You know? So several of these have like band names that are not the same as the real title or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got working titles, and then sometimes the working titles, you say it for so long that it like doesn't feel right to call it anything else. So then you end up with songs with really weird titles, or like for our album, I know Jay was like adamant about not calling our song Cold Weather, Cold Weather. Like it's or Yoshi's Island. We have another song called Yoshi's Island, and Jay was like, those are both working titles. They will not be called that. And we were like, okay. We really like them though. We like the titles. And then we just never came up with better titles for them. So
awesome.
Austin has not heard the record yet. So pumped. Yes. Also, Sorrowful Yoke says that the your bouquet was cute. Very cute.
Thank you.
TWIBP, it says, I love the bouquet more than my life.
That's amazing.
Does the bouquet have a name? I think is what we're seeing here.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Goldenrod Phlox Waterfall, I think is the name that we're coming up with. Open to other name suggestions, but yeah.
I'm going to go to the listening screen now. All right. This is where I give the, now's the time to open a streaming provider. And this is like where it's going to be. Again, as a reminder, I will not be playing the album live on stream. You won't be able to hear the music unless you pull it up yourself. We'll be doing a sync at the beginning. I'll do a countdown, a 3, 2, 1, go. That wasn't it. And on go, you'll hit play with me and we should be synced up. So take that time right now to bring up your streaming provider while I talk to Emily. Also, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that I have a little capture of my streaming provider, which is hilarious because it's like, it looks like it's playing, but it's not. Like it doesn't have the play, whatever. That will be showing what song we're on and where we are in each song. So if you get off at any point, or like, if an ad plays because you don't have a premium version of like whatever, or if you accidentally put your streaming provider on shuffle and you forget to turn that off, and anything like that, you should be able to look at the bottom of the screen, see where we are and what song, and like try to catch up that way. And that goes for the YouTube VODs as well. That should be it. That should be it. All right. So Sister Species, this is your third album, right?
Yeah, we made some like little EPs, but I would call this our third album. That feels appropriate. Yes. Okay.
And the other ones you would say are EPs, like definitively?
Yeah, it's other EPs, and kind of like we're much more. These are like the 3 studio albums we made. The other ones were had like kind of a different makeup of the band, and we're like just live recorded, so different vibe. Only recommended for like serious nerds who like witnessing public growth. That's what I would say. They're on our Bandcamp. They're like deep. You can find them, They're on the Green Music app as well. The older ones are not.
The very older ones. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The two other albums that we've released, I feel like proud of and great about. Good. And if you're on Bandcamp and you want to hear like some more, maybe like more folk punk sounding stuff from 2011, you can, but you don't have to, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I think
really like long.
No. I think I just need to check that out now, I guess, because I've listened to the other two.
If you want to, yeah, you don't have to. There's no trumpets on them. It's a different vibe. But
because I know this Light Exchanges has like I think the least amount of front facing accordion.
Maybe that's funny. I don't know. Yeah, I think that it was. Yeah, that's a great question. It's funny you'd think as the accordionist that I'd be like, yes, some of them have more. I think that Light Exchanges has the least like instrumental parts. I think in some, aside from the trumpet parties, obviously, which are like only instrumental. I think the other albums we were more likely to be like, all right, band break, And on this one, I was like, I'm just singing through, like no breaks or whatever.
Well, I just mean even as like a harmonic device, because I feel like this album features guitar much more heavily than any other instrument.
Yeah, harmony, I mean part of what happened with that also, so like the backstory is that like for the first several albums, I had like initially my younger sibling, I started the band with them, and we like both wrote songs for the band, and they played guitar and also wrote half of the songs. So on like Closer Now and Heavy Things Do Move, you'll also hear songs that Abby wrote. And then Abby left to pursue their baking career full time. So shout out to them, Bakery Box Minneapolis. They're amazing baked goods.
Cool.
But very like amicable parting. And then Willow, I think, is maybe also how we're connected, because Willow and Andrew play in a band together or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So Willow started playing in the band, and Willow is like a shredding guitar player. So, and not that, I mean, my sibling is like a good guitar player, but it's not like their calling in life. Like baking is their calling, whereas Willow is like very much a musician. So I think that there was sort of like let's make space for the guitar to really shred. So that kind of that's part of the reason behind that shift.
And who's the face on the album right before this one? Because it's your face.
Yeah, it's me and Abby. Yeah,
it is
so that's
you and
my
Abby.
younger.
Okay, so
that's my younger sibling.
That's your younger sibling. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, I thought so. I was wondering who that was, and I was like,
where are they?
Where did they go? Yeah.
I don't. That's like the low key. Yeah, I don't know. That's like the low key backstory. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Not that low key, I guess. I mean, it was very public. It was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, because they started a baking a bakery essentially. So that I feel like that would be pretty high key, at least in the local sphere.
That part's definitely high key. I just got some challah from them yesterday. It was very good. But yeah, I mean, also for me, it was kind of this moment of like, oh wow, can I swear on this or should I not swear?
Yeah, you can totally swear. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then what I was going to say is I was like, oh shit, like my sibling is leaving the band, kind of like we'd done a lot of like advertising being like, we're a sibling band. And then also doing like, I think that some of the like dynamicness in the past albums was that we write like very different songs. So you'll hear on Closer Now and Heavy Things Do Move, these like pretty different poles or whatever you want to call it of our different songwriting styles. And then coming into Light Exchanges, I was like, all right, like we're still a band. I'm not changing the name. Like it's my band now. Like, and I don't know, some of this album is also me being like, okay, well, how do I like still write a dynamic album when it's like me being dynamic against myself or against my own songwriting, as opposed to just like relying on kind of that natural tension. So that's part of what was happening. And then also kind of leaning into like the name Sister Species is this biological concept. I have a background in biology. It's like my undergrad. I'm obviously a nerd. It's like pretty obvious, I think, like looking at me, listening to me talk and listening to my songs, you're like, cool, nerd. And so Sister Species is this biological concept that means the two species that are the most closely related while still being considered distinct species. If that makes sense.
Thank you for
them like
explaining that.
Cousins.
Because when I looked up your name, when I was trying to find your Bandcamp, for example, and I was just like, I just typed in Sister Species. It didn't occur to me that was like an actual thing. And so when I looked it up, I was just like, oh, all this stuff about like animals and I was like, oh no.
Fish. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do. I'm not super into Twitter, but when I go on Twitter, I like to just search Sister Species and then like all of the statuses that are about like animal sister species, because I think it's funny and I don't know. Yep.
I mean, I feel like that's better than what I do, where I name search Glass Beach just to find the people talking about us, you know? I like those and retweet those, and I'm like, hey, thanks. Like,
I mean, both and I would do, we don't get a lot of Twitter chatter, which is fine.
Sure.
But Sister Species as a concept does get a lot of Twitter chatter. But it's funny when like, I don't know, searching like Sister Species for news, and it's always like ancient bat relative found in the whatever. It's like it's pretty fun, I think. So
yeah. Also, somebody jumped into the chat here. Charlie_Pupper said, "Ayo, Sister Species, I saw you this past spring. Fan."
Oh, sweet. Maybe at the intimate college show that I played alone at UW Stout. The only show that I played in the spring. This would be my guess.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope that is where the person saw you.
Yeah.
They said yeah.
Nice. What's up? Hi. Cute. Thanks for coming. That's
awesome. Wow. I would love to see I would love to see you like solo. Sure, I'd love to see like a full band thing. Well, you're a septet. Is that how you pronounce it?
This many septet.
It's this many,
Yep.
7. So 3 trumpets, and then who also plays accordion,
Mm-hmm.
and then Willow on guitar.
Yep.
And then I've forgotten everybody else.
Yeah, it's okay. It's Ryan Hayes on bass and Lars Johnson on drums, and the trumpet players are Sten Johnson, Noah Ophoven Baldwin, and Jake Baldwin.
Yeah, and I was seeing when I was looking you up that everybody is basically from different bands. Were they from different bands and then just came together to back you up as Sister Species, or were you Sister Species and they started other projects around the same time? Like,
oh, great question. I mean, kind of like some of both. It was sort of like in 2015 we had like several pieces of personnel changes where it was like when my sibling and I started the band together, it was like us and a couple of like close friends who were kind of like playing music together. And then my friend Yasha Urkula moved here from New Jersey. She actually just moved back she has a great project called Slow Grown, which I will also plug. Anyways, she played trumpet and she was like, oh, I would play trumpet in your band. And then I knew Noah. This is kind of a long story. I knew Noah from book club, and I was like, Noah, you play trumpet. Do you want to play trumpet? And he was like, oh, I'll only play trumpet if there's 3 trumpets because 2 trumpets sounds stupid. So we found my friend Ben Hovland, who now is like a very like accomplished local photographer, came to play trumpet with us. So we like started doing trumpet stuff. Anyways, kind of slowly, people for various reasons that may or may not be interesting like moved or came into the band, and then like no one knew Jake Baldwin because trumpets, and then they knew Sten because I think Jake and Sten played in McNasty Brass together. I don't know, there kind of were these other like threads. It's like also like, Minneapolis, it's a really small scene. Like Ryan had just moved here because they finished studying bass at Lawrence. I don't know, kind of all these funny different things. Lars is Sten's brother. And then Willow came into the band after my sibling left, and I guess I knew Willow because we used to play in a marching band together, but then Willow and Ryan also played. It's kind of like, I don't know, like incestuous and
that feels very much like a bit of the scene in Minneapolis. I mean, because it's like kind of a small scene, but like there's a lot of musicians, but they're all wanting to do so much that they every single person is in like 3 or 4 bands. Yeah.
I think what's sweet about our band is that I think that McNasty Brass Band has been around longer than us, and like 3 people from the band play in that. I think after our band started, like Noah and Jake play in this like drone band together, and then I don't know, called Drone Band. And then like Ryan and Willow play together in Willow's band, but also in Still on Still, which I think your friend Andrew also plays in. And then, I don't know, I also sing back with Willow. Anyways, just like many. I hope that was a good explanation. We all play in lots of bands, some together, and we've mostly been together in this conglomeration since 2015. So like 6 of us have been playing together since 2015, with then the switch out of Abby and Willow in 2019. And with a couple other, I don't know, that's like the shorthand. My friend Adam Zahler also played some guitar on the last record and kind of like was a temporary transitional guitar player too. So shout out to Adam. Anyways,
hell yeah,
lots of love. It's really been cool I think that for us, like the point of all of those things is that having a consistent group of people to play with is amazing. And it was very challenging for a while when we were having a lot of transition. And I feel like once we kind of all like decided to get out together, that's where the magic started to happen. I think especially also like when Abby left, I was kind of like, it was kind of scary telling the rest of the band that this is what was happening, and I was like worried everyone was gonna leave or whatever. But everyone was, they're like, we'll see how it goes. And I was like, okay. So I mean, part of also like me writing this record was like, don't worry, I'm gonna write these really beautiful, compelling, interesting songs that you're gonna love more than you've ever loved our songs before, and you're not gonna quit because whatever, because it's like project based of love. So that's that, I think.
Yeah, and to your credit on that, and not to, I mean, like, I do love the previous two albums, like, and I love the work that you and Abby did together, but Light Exchange is by far my favorite. Like, I think the songwriting is pretty spectacular. I don't just mean like I mean like lyrically it's like very compelling, and you write very flowery in a way that you're not very straightforward with your lyricism, and in a way that I find really exciting, and but it's not so veiled in metaphor that it's hard to connect to, or it's very evocative, and you can pull themes from it, and you can interpret things like likely in ways that you probably didn't intend or whatever, but it's still it becomes a very personal experience, and I like that a lot about the record. And also the harmonic, changes, and the arrangements and the compositions of all of the songs are really, I mean, personally, and again, not to put down your other stuff or anything, because it's all been very good, but I just think it is the most interesting, cohesive, and explorative piece that you've done so far.
I accept it. I mean, that's the hope, right? I think you hope, not that life is all about like, getting better and better or something, but I think the hope with making another record is being like, all right, like, the last records are beautiful. They had a moment in time. They showcased our growth. I think that also this was like the second record that we got to work with Jason McLone, who's the person who recorded and mixed it. I think the first time working with him, we were like, okay, we're working with him. What's up? And then we're like, oh, working with Jason is like, whoa, like our minds were kind of blown. So I feel like the last two records were like our minds being blown. And this one was being like, all right, our minds have been blown. Like, we know what we can do. Now let's like do it really well. So I'm communicates. So also it was fun for me just to be like, all right, well, this is like just my vision, and for that to, I don't know, there's something like a little more directional or something about that.
Yeah.
So,
well, great. I'm glad that you feel that way. Sorry.
Yeah, totally. No, I was just gonna say that I'm glad that the like I'm glad that like the metaphors I don't know, like work in the way that you described. My intent is to like write personal songs without putting my business out there, and then also to like write things that other people can connect with too, even if it means something different for other people. I think it's the beauty of metaphor that you are sharing, but you're also like leaving space for someone else to project their own experience. So it sounds like that worked, and I'm glad that worked. So
hell yeah. Okay, well, I think that, I mean, that's the general conversation I had wanted to have before we actually got into the listen along, because I mean, like, I feel like if I didn't have that, I would have just been like begging you to answer these questions the whole time, and I'd rather hear specific stuff about each song. So thank you for talking to me about all of that, and for giving me the background. Anytime. And I love that you mentioned people who weren't even like in the band anymore, people who had worked on stuff with you, because I really am a proponent of, like, even if there is a front person for a band, like giving credit and also showcasing everybody who has worked on a project or it has and doesn't anymore, or like maybe will. So it's cool that even with 7 people in your band, you shouted out all of them, and then like 7 more people.
Yeah, there's more too, but maybe later,
Yeah, I get you. Also, I think someone came in at some point and said something that I missed. Oh yeah, totally fine. Said, I regret giving up the trumpet. So many music opportunities lost. Steven Strick says, the opening verse of Heat Death is so interestingly written and vivid and amazing, and I just adore the song. It really is. It is a banger of an opener to the album. And with that, I'm going to give everybody one last chance. You get one more chance. Pull up your streaming provider. I'm about to start it. I'm going to do the countdown. We're going to get into it. We got to start it like right now, basically. So this is your last chance. I'll give you like another minute. Pull it up. Reminder, I won't be playing the music live on stream. You have to use a streaming provider. I'm going to do a countdown. We will sync up. It should be great. You're going to love it. Everything's going to be fine. And then, like I said, this will exist on YouTube. So if you ever find yourself listening to the record again and you're like, wow, I don't remember exactly like what Emily said, and I kind of want to hear that stuff again. I mean, like, this is a living commentary. So as you go along in your journey with these records and everything, you can listen without it, you can listen with it. It's all up to you from this point forward. And !listen in the chat for the last time here before we get started. !listen will take you to sisterspecies.com, and we'll also, there's a second link that is the Bandcamp for specifically Light Exchanges, and you can purchase the vinyl. There are shirts available, and again, if you have the means, I would encourage you to do so. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm you know what?
I'm hovering over the play button with my cursor.
You have no idea how much I stress out my audience.
Get ready!
I'm well, yeah, I just like, apparently people are usually like not very comfortable when I do the countdown because they're like, oh, there was one, I think, with Left at London where I did the countdown, but then her stream provider thing got fucked up, and so we actually had to stop and go back and do it again, which was fun.
Good to know. Hopefully that won't happen, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, I need to hilariously pull up the album, so
Nice.
Thank you. Wow. It is really going to take typing out your full name for it to come up.
That's cool. I can just say that before we get into it, the first verse, someone asked about that, I had taken from a poem that I wrote about winter and wearing I have this snowsuit that does appear in the Heat Death music video if you want to see it. But the feeling of having no skin touching the air in order to go outside, and also learning that cold isn't actually a thing. It's just that heat dissipates. It's kind of about that concept. So I hope that's informative.
Yeah. Do you pull a lot from poems, or was that
No, that was usually I write with a song, and Heat Death was one which we can talk about as we play it too, but that I had a melody that I had saved on my phone or whatever that I came back to a year later. I was like, oh, that one was good. What can I go with it? And I was trying a lot of different things, and then whatever, this stuck. So
the Rosto 64 says 5:30 a.m. here, but I'm ready. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, devotion. Cool.
And Glass Beach Band says, too late, William. We already clicked play. I know that's not true. Okay. I don't miss the heat dissipating. I just miss you. That's very funny, Austin. That's a play off of one of our songs.
Aww.
Because it's I didn't miss the cold weather. I just missed you. I didn't miss the heat dissipating. I just missed you. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Any content warning things you can think of for this record off the top?
Wow, I don't think so. Maybe grief or loss, but it's pretty abstract. So
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I would think of. I mean, there is a little bit of a doom just in the phrasing of the inevitable heat death of the universe, but
sure,
I don't think that the song is taking a doom type view of it. So, but just
optimistic doom,
yes,
content warning for optimistic doom, which might be annoying to you. So
yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're doing it. I'm going to do the countdown. Here we go. Okay. So this is Light Exchanges by Sister Species. The first song is Heat Death, parentheses, Hold Me Here, close parentheses. I will be saying all of the song titles as we go along, by the way. It wouldn't be a listen along if I didn't forget to say that before I did the album title and everything, and then I have to do it all over again. Here we go. So again, this is Light Exchanges by Sister Species. The first song is Heat Death, parentheses, Hold Me Here, close parentheses. 3, 2, 1, go. Also, incredible voice.
Thank you.
Incredible.
No training on that one.
I can't say this yet, but I'm going to in a second. I like how you build the horns in, like, arrangement wise, because they kind of like sprinkle in that first chorus right there, and then yes. it's even more exciting, you know, spoilers for second chorus when they are in full.
Yeah, I will say I don't want to take like too much credits for the trumpets, because basically they just like try stuff and I say yes. So, but yeah, I agree. They did a very nice job.
Da, da, ba, ba, ba. That's so good.
It's a good part. I feel like I gotta shout out Sten for this song. I feel like Sten was like, wait, it's like Sten loves pop songs and is like, can it please just be a hit, you know? So I feel like Sten really pushed this one and also introduced me to the concept of heat death of the universe. So shout out to Sten. Yeah.
There's also that second like trumpet part, like right at that's like like those like that quick part. I'm pretty impressed with how complex the arrangements of the trumpets are without like being super distracting. Because you're usually singing on top of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also some of that I think is it being mixed really well too. But yeah, I think they also do a good job of being like intricate without being too like mathy or too obtuse, which is kind of that's like our vibe as a band, you know. How do you make a pop song that also is like that will get pop listeners but also nerds? So it's kind of the thing. There they go.
And then they take a little bit more of a forward.
Yeah, and up that octave, it is nice.
Overzealous says, yeah, the vocals are super sweet, loving the vibes. Azure Void says, okay, damn, this is a good song. And then Steven Strick says, in the first chorus, you sing plays on as a backdrop, but in the second and third, you sing plays on in the backgrounds. Is there any deeper meaning to that, or is it just stylistic?
Stylistic. I just couldn't decide, and I liked backdrop and then background. Yep.
Great. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a TPT Party 1.
Trumpet Party
1.
Yeah. Stylized as TPT.
Yeah. I had a question about these interludes.
Yes.
Whose idea was it?
Oh, great question. I don't know. We started doing them live to kind of make it a more seamless set, partially because I'm like always drinking water between songs. So, and then we were like, let's put on the album. It sounds good.
And this is the titular Light Exchanges.
Yeah, as we used to call it, the Onion Song.
Okay. Because of onion and garlic. Yes.
Yes. That's why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. This song took a long time to write. I tried introducing it to the band a year ago and it like didn't work, and I had to rework it.
The bass in this and that the guitar part, like the sparseness of it is so good.
Yeah, it felt good to do that. No, go ahead.
Well, hey, someone else in here said I'm going to be quiet. That's a great come in too. You're incredibly good at the dynamics of, like having space being like soft and then boom, like everything comes in. It's so good.
Yay.
Perfect example.
The song is, I think, one of the more spacious ones too. Or I think we've been getting better at that as a band.
These are such non-intuitive trumpet parts too. Like that's ridiculous. That's what's so amazing about these. Like, and this drum part, your whole band is so good.
I feel this way a lot. I feel like when we play live, I'm just like grinning and I'm like, oh yeah, I have to remember my part because I just was like enjoying my band sounding so good.
So sorry. TWIABP says the vocal melodies on this are genius and tropic without venturing into atonality, which isn't a bad thing, but not the vibe of the album, which like I agree with. And I think that goes throughout the whole record, and not just with like vocal harmonies or anything, but definitely like sometimes the trumpet parts are very tense.
Yeah, there's a lot of color or texture for sure.
As your void says, so many fancy words being thrown around here. I don't know what they mean. I'm just grooving.
Oh yeah, eerily obscured and the familiar. That's my drummer's favorite line on the album, which I'm okay with. So
I love the way you say it. Eerily obscure in the familiar. Like
yeah. There's some hard. I like a hard R without being too hard. Yeah.
Familiar. Yeah. Totally Fine says this is definitely an Onion song. The layers.
I'll take it.
Yeah, more like ogre song. Because ogres are like onions.
Oh, like onions. Thank you. I'm sorry. I got you, Shrek. Thank you.
It's Shrek. I'm sorry.
No, it was good. It was good.
The chorus on that grooves so hard. And this is Trumpet Party 2. I like the phaser here. That's a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah, that's shout out to Jason McClone on that for sure. We were like, we want the trumpet parties, but can you add a little And I mean, we improvised like 10 or something trumpet parties and took the best ones. So that was kind of what happened.
And this is Start with the Mess, which you just said.
True.
Oh yeah, Austin said the trumpet parts remind him of drum corps trumpet parts.
I do like drum corps,
yeah,
like band. Cool.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, a lot of the trumpet players do play in a marching band, so it's fair.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I really love the sweetness of this chorus.
It was a very funny song to release when COVID just started. I remember we had just gotten like the vinyl, what's it called? Test presses back. And I was listening it. Yeah. And I just started like cracking up in my living room because it was like March of 2020. And I was like, cool, I wrote a song about putting hands on your face. Like, awesome. This is really, people are going to love it. Like,
put your fingers in my mouth.
Right. Exactly. That's the vibe.
Don't wash your hands. Yeah. No, I get you.
There's some cool there's some like nuggets in this song that are kind of like treats for if you know, you know, like that verse just quoted the Via Hafta, which is like a Jewish prayer that you say every day. So if you're Jewish, you probably caught it. And if you're not, you're probably like, yeah, lie down, rise up, symbols, cool. But if you're Jewish, you're like, that's the Via Hafta, you know? So that's
you're right. I didn't get it.
Yep. It makes sense. Yeah.
But I still was like, oh, cool. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, yep.
Put your hands on my face. You're just singing. It's interesting because you almost like have this kind of crooner element to the way that you sing. Because they like a lot of times they're like it's a very almost casual, not singing to the top of your range, but you're just like on top of it, like. And I feel that a lot with the vocals on this record, at least. There were a couple songs on like earlier records of yours where you really would go for it sometimes, like, and it would be like a full belt. But I don't feel like I hear a full belt from you very often.
Yeah, that's not super my style or where I think my voice sounds best. Also, those might have been my siblings singing. Honestly,
Oh,
they're
you know
like,
what? Yeah,
they like love belting and they have a really beautiful range for it. And it's not. I mean, I like to shred a little, but it's not my. I don't know. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
I don't think I can overstate how good the lyrics are on this record.
Thank you. I like words, you know.
And this is Trumpet Party 3.
Yeah. The idea, kind of how I like of imagining Trumpet Party. There's sort of this sense in this album, the arc is kind of going from like outer space at like the furthest point that's possible to imagine, like the inevitable heat death of the universe, like not just when the earth ends, but like when the universe ends, because it becomes so spread apart. And then by the end of the album, you like end up back on earth, like in springtime and in summertime and like in the present moment with the cottonwood trees. So there's sort of this arc. And to me, the trumpets are like these little alien guides that are kind of like holding our hand to these different song planets. So that's what I think is happening. I don't know what you all think.
I like that.
Yeah.
And this is B multiple.
Yep.
Which has a very interesting guitar part at the start.
Yeah, kind of a little interlucky. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, this really, it's not like distorted. It's like fuzzy. Fuzzy is the word I'm looking for. This like fuzzy guitar part in the background. I really like when like a harmony or a harmonic element of something can be basically a lead while not being entirely distracting. Yeah, I think that's a commonality in here that I'm going to keep saying is like you have very intricate, like cool parts that are effectively leads, but like very subdued and not distracting.
Yeah, tasteful. Yeah, that's the hope.
Also, I love the chord progression here.
Thank you. I got a shout out to my partner Matt Olson on that, who plays in a band called Robot Slide. I was working on this chorus and I was like, I like it like help, you know what I mean? I was like, SOS, these chords are boring, I'm stuck. And he was like, oh, what if you just do a little bloop, 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 bloop? So, yeah, little plug for Robot Slide.
Very forward accordion on this one, love it.
True.
Says totally fine, but yeah. I do agree. Everyone's loving the accordion.
Nice. Thanks, y'all. I'm glad.
Calling it total ear candy with the trumpets. The accordion and trumpets are a match made in heaven, says Steven Strick.
Oh, that's the hope.
Doom. The drum part here too. The doom, do ga, doom, boom. Do, ah, do, ga, yeah. Your drummer is obviously so good, but is like not taking up any space.
For sure. Yeah. Very solid. He really like holds the rest of us up, you know, which is ideally what I think drums do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so used to covering music that is where the drums like almost play a lead part. In a lot of, like Origami Angel, for example, like the drums in that are very, very much like as intricate and a lead element as the guitar is. So this is Trumpet Party 4 and the final of the trumpet parties.
Final trumpet party. Party while you can.
The last alien guidance.
Welcome to Earth. That's what I feel like they're saying.
That's the Will Smith. Just welcome to Earth. And this is the penultimate song, Magnolia Buds. Your melodies are so good.
I'm glad you like them. They feel good. You know, I'm trying to write things that feel good. So it's nice when they sound good to others.
The accordion and drum part here that comes in like, oh, I don't want to spoil what's to come, but this might be my favorite song.
It's funny. Everyone has different favorites. This one's definitely like the wordiest. One of the wordier ones. I actually cut several verses from it. Also, it was like too long.
Like even this in the horn part.
Yeah, there's a lot of sweetness that I like about it. Surprise.
How did you get here?
You know, I used to be in a folk punk band.
Sure,
you know, you're like, oh, you're doing a waltz? Cool. I got the whole band to sing on this part. They also sing on it live. That was like, as you can maybe guess, my band is all introverts aside from myself, which is why they were like, ooh, don't know if we can come to this Twitch. Like, we're introverts. You know?
Yeah, for chat, I did ask all of them to be here.
They said thank you for thinking of them.
It's so hard to do a just completely cheesy waltz. And admittedly, there's a little cheese in there for sure.
Oh yeah,
but I think you lean into it like in a way that makes it pay off really well.
We're always straddling that line. The other day we were working on a new song. We were talking about cheese, and one of my trumpet players was like, "The thing about cheese is everyone loves cheese, just not too much." You know, most people love cheese. Yeah.
Even the people who are allergic or lactose intolerant still love cheese.
Hopefully they can eat goat cheese, you know.
Or take Lactaid or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay. The final song on the album, Cottonwood Trees.
It's funny, on the album, both the CD and the album version, they just crossfade totally seamlessly. I actually haven't listened through on Spotify, but I didn't realize it ends and then begins again.
And then starts.
Yeah, when we play it live, we always do a live crossfade, and then on the vinyl and the CD, it also crossfades.
This song reminds me so much of Mississippi. Your other song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, we definitely try to space them out when we play them live. But yeah, very yeah. The drone.
The drone and like almost this like Celtic kind of story song sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally finds us incentive to buy the vinyl.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I know I'm sitting next to one. Also, the other incentive is I have a couple left where I like hand printed the lyric sheets, which is kind of sexy. So as you can see, I like.
Oh.
Yeah. So. Not the most legible, but strong vibe.
Am I gonna get one of those?
Yes, you get one of those.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Hell yeah.
I chose a cute one for you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
They're all cute, but yours is very cute. And the vinyl's clear. Sorry, I should show you that too. Look how clear it is. You see how clear it is?
Yes.
It's sexy. So
I'm so excited. That's gonna be great. Yeah. And I can't wait for the shirt too. I'm a sucker for. I hate black and I hate white shirts. I hate white and black shirts. So whenever I find a band that is doing like any other color shirts, I'm like, here we go.
Yep. Yeah, that pinky pink.
Yeah. The pad here of sound is so it's like, I mean, talking about earlier when you were saying it's like aliens, guiding you to different like song planets and that kind of thing. I find this like almost the ending here like in the Milky Way, in like some sort of a galaxy, like you're just kind of like drifting off now, and it's like looking over the rest of the galaxy, the universe and everything, and seeing all of the planets that you just visited.
Ooh, I like that. Sounds good with headphones on, I gotta say. This is one where I was like, will you please just put headphones on, please? It sounds good with headphones.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this would be really fun to sing, especially live. Like, this has got to be a treat. Do you close with this song pretty often?
Yeah, we definitely have. Sometimes we'll close with it, especially if we're playing like, and we're like, and now go to bed, or we'll put it in the middle and then close with like a banger or whatever.
Yeah, something that's huge.
Close with, yeah, it's so sad. With this one too, in the mixing process, like we left it a little more imperfect with the vocals too. I feel like other songs have a little more like editing or adjusting or combining of takes or whatever. And there's probably more than one take on this, but it was mostly from the same take, and we didn't there wasn't a lot of like massaging, which I think makes it feel a little more like vulnerable or something, down to earth.
And you're also doing a lot of like little trills that, there is like an imperfection to a few of them that I think really exemplify the song in a way. Mm-hmm. Whose voice is that's like most prominent underneath yours?
Yeah, it's Willow. Yeah,
Okay.
Willow Waters. Yeah, she does all the backing vocals on this, or her aside from a couple group vocal moments.
That's it. There we are.
Made it.
That's the album, Late Exchanges. Wow. Well, thank you for being here for that.
Yeah, thanks for it's fun to I mean, I've like listened to it alone, but I think because we released it in May of 2020, there wasn't like,
Yeah.
we didn't play a release show, we didn't do like a listening party or whatever. So it's nice to it's fun to hear how other people are experiencing it.
Yeah. I have a couple more things that I kind of want to talk about before we go. Do you have time?
Yes, I mean, it's Saturday. I'm not doing anything else. So.
Cool. I just, it's really rare that I get to talk to another like Minnesota musician. So I kind of want to dip into a little bit of the specifics of, the scene and how basically, well, how long have you lived in Minnesota? Are you born and raised or?
Yeah, I grew up in Uptown. I went to Barton for K-8 and South for high school. And I went to college in Oregon and like did some traveling throughout the world or whatever, but I have been back here since 2011, which is when we like began. So I started Sister Species when I moved back here in like winter of or fall of 2011.
Wow. So like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean that's which kind of like a lot of this album. I mean, it's interesting. I think sometimes people are like, yeah, I wrote an album because like I had a breakup, but then I moved cities, and then I went through a quarter life crisis or whatever. And I was like, oh, those things are not happening for me. Like I like own my house that I've lived in since 2013 with like really stable roommate situation, and like I don't know. Yeah, I've played in this band for a long time, and I work at a high school where I run an after school program that I've run since 2012, and like there's a lot of like very stable, like I have a stable partner, whatever. Like many things in my life are like very stable, and so I don't know. There was kind of this piece of like, okay, well, and what else? Like, what else is there when everything is stable, or like what else do you notice? Do you notice the onions? Do you notice the flowers blooming? Like, what do you what are the other sort of like waves? What else is happening?
Yeah.
Or like, what's the dynamicness and the change that also happens when you stay put? Stabilize to mobilize is another phrase that I like. When you have certain things that are stable, what else can mobilize,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, especially like, I just from speaking to other Minnesotans, like especially people from Minneapolis, because I'm not from Minneapolis. Our bass player Jonas is like grew up in Minneapolis, and so I mean they would probably have I mean, what, honestly, Jonas, if you want to grab a microphone and come in here, if you have any questions or if you want to like talk to Emily, I'd be totally chill with that. Just because we're talking about Minnesota right now. Jonas is signed in as Glass Beach Band in the Twitch chat, so they've been here the whole time. Nice. But you don't have to, by the way, Jonas. But if you feel like it, I just like I know that the person that we talked to who lives there right now was just talking about how much things have changed, like pretty drastically, in the past couple of years. Like with the George Floyd murder and the protests and kind of just like everything that has been necessity, but like all of that like going on, and how vastly things have changed just like in the pandemic, and like, and especially in the music scene. I am like curious because like what you were saying, the only show you played in spring was like a solo show at like a college or whatever. And I'm curious if musicians in the Twin Cities have found, you know, in each other like something that is new and maybe like special, or like something that has kind of brought everyone together, or has it been difficult to kind of like feel that community?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, probably some of both. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think that also people are doing it really differently. I know some people who have like been playing out for several months and are playing shows indoors and outdoors. Like people are doing that. We've just chosen not to, just because of different levels of caution and like comfort with risk that different people in the band have. I know that just from a personal level, it's been nice to be like, what if I don't? What if there's not like rush or pressure? Like, what if I just, I don't know, what if we just play like, we're playing a show next weekend in like a beautiful backyard in St. Paul. And it's like the only show we're going to play this summer. And I was like, I don't know, seems fine. Like, what if that's just what we're doing? So I don't know how to speak to all of that. I think that, I mean, a lot of things have happened in the last couple of years. I mean, definitely like the uprising is a huge thing that happened. I think it had a lot of musicians being like, oh, what is my role in this? I think especially like, like there's a lot of bands here that are all white people. And I think like, including my band, that I think we'd have been like, oh, what does this mean? Or like, how are we showing up for racial justice if we are a band of all white people? Like, what does that mean with the different spaces that we're creating, for example? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, also like just on like a personal level, like I live on Chicago and Lake, which is like less than a mile away from where police murdered George Floyd, and Lake Street was definitely like an artery of protest during the uprising. And also, like everything a block away from my house like burned down. So it
Yeah.
was just kind of like, I don't know, which also happened like 3 days after we released this record, which was an interesting thing to have this record out and then to totally switch gears and be like, all right, like I don't know, like how, what is my role right now? And sometimes the
Yeah.
role was like filling up buckets of water from my rain barrel to help put out like whatever. There's some funny moments of being like there were like a bunch of punks who, I don't know how to explain this story. Like a lot of things were on fire in general. Whatever. I'm wearing a shirt that has like the precinct burning on it. Like I don't have a problem with a lot of things that needed to burning, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And also like I live several doors down from a US bank that was on fire that actually was like very scary because people live like, very close to it. And so there's this moment where like the fire department wasn't coming and like we needed to put out this fire at the bank, and this punk had like a key to the what's it called, the fire hydrant, and a fire hose. So like these punks were like driving around town with this fire hose putting out different fires. So there's this moment where all these neighbors and like random drunk people and punks are like putting out a fire at a bank. We're like, we never thought we'd be doing this, but I guess we're doing this because whatever houses. So lots of like, stuff like that happened. Anyways, how is that relevant to what you're saying? I don't know. I just was like, oh
No,
yeah, a lot of
that's
stuff
good. I mean,
happened
that's
this past
great.
year. Like that's like what's been
No.
on my mind. I think the other piece of like what has been happening in Minneapolis also is like definitely gentrification, and also just like a lot of spaces that closed. Like when I think of my early music experiences, I think of going to like punk shows at Mala's or Medusa or like Secret Service or all of these places that were like affordable / like cheap / dangerous, like kind of like punk DIY spaces. And a lot like there were so many of those spaces closing, and some like mainstream art spaces, and especially some more mainstream like queer art spaces that closed over the last couple of years. And that was all like before the pandemic that was going on. So there is this feeling here of like what's happening, like what's gonna, and I think that for me there's a hope of like, oh, what can arise from this? And I don't know that we're at the like arising point quite yet, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's some like spaces like the old Robert Shoes building that burned down kind of like before it was in vogue to burn down, like several years ago. They've been doing some shows in that lot, which I've heard some sweet things about. And I don't know. Yeah, pre-pandemic, there were a couple spaces that had opened that I was excited about. Like Moon Palace Books, I love them, and they like have a very sweet venue that yeah, it just has not been open for the last little while. So I don't know. I think also for musicians probably everywhere, but definitely here. I know my band has just talked about like, well, like who are we as non-musicians? Or like how else do we love and support each other? And I don't know. It's been nice to play music again because I think we all like missed it and it makes us feel whole, like in our souls and stuff. But also like I was like okay the rest of the year. So that's been an interesting be like I was fine except for this deep part of me that I wasn't like filling, but I also was fine. So it's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
I don't know piece. Yeah. I think also my other comment on our band is just that like, one like small thing that we've been doing is with the record sales, we've been giving $5 from each record to other like local people doing work, whether that's like a mutual aid effort or like Southside Harm Reduction, which like gives people clean syringes and does a bunch of other awesome work. So we've been kind of like we were like, okay, well, how can we put back what's like a consistent, like not just like showy way to give back? I think being like, well, we'll be probably selling these records for a while. So if we could like commit $5 per record to doing some kind of way of giving back, which is also, I mean, it's funny. I think that what we've maybe seen throughout the country this year is people who don't have a lot of money all like taking turns like giving each other mutual aid funds or whatever.
Yeah, the thing that I've seen in our space is like because we're in like a pretty big like online space for indie musicians, and it's just the joke is passing around the same $5. Like
yes,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So I don't know what's up. Yeah, we'll see where things will come to pass. I mean, also last year there was like a really huge like sort of like Minneapolis Me Too moment or whatever movement moment. I don't know which one, both maybe. So I think I have some curiosity about like, our space is going to be safer. Or like certain people who used to perform a lot like not going to be because people have realized that maybe they aren't welcome. I don't know. It's just interesting to be determined. Some of that stuff.
Yeah. We have a friend who's a musician out there, Lydia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who had like an Instagram for a while that was sharing people's stories that would like submit them, and I remember a lot of like that as it was happening, seeing names of people that I knew like not personally, but just like I had heard. And seeing like all of the harm that these people were causing in the community and in these like art spaces, and it is hard and like nice to see that sort of thing take shape and for people to be reclaiming their own space and to hopefully make things safer moving forward. It does like so much of that is ingrained even in like venue style, like the venues and like the people who operate them, and I mean like we're seeing with a lot of like places as well, like the especially like comedy scenes out here in LA and like the UCB theater or whatever, and like how there was this extreme misogyny and pervasiveness of like sexual harassment and stuff that just like a lot of like key performers who would get, stage time or whatever were the ones who were doing the worst of it. And the people running the venues and everything would like kind of turn away from it and, kind of be like, I don't know, cause they brought people to the clubs or like whatever. And I'm sure that's the same in most of these like performance-based art spaces. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the piece that I kind of come back to also, like I work at a high school and I like one of the things that I do there is like sometimes teaching sex ed and talking about consent and like how do you create a culture of consent, which I also think is something that I think a lot about like in my daily life, even if it's like, oh, like, would you like to make dinner together tonight or would you like to eat alone or things like that. And we had some interesting like Zoom conversations as a band last summer, just kind of about like how consent feels in our band. And it's been interesting talking to other musicians about like how playing in different band spaces feels for them. Like I feel like in our band it's very much like, I don't know, yeah, like we do a check-in before we play, and there's a lot of like I don't know, just like there's a lot of caring for each other and like tending to the relationships in the band, and also like not like it sounds really simple, but like not forcing people to play things they don't want to play or something like that. And it was really interesting hearing from, especially from like some of the cis men who play in the band, that this feels like the safest band that they play in, or that they play in other bands that are like fun but that don't feel like emotionally connected or safe. And so that was interesting to me to think about. I think it's really easy, or no, I sometimes feel overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, the scene is fucked. Like, what are we going to do? And just being like, well, I don't know, like, how do I create like a positive environment in my band? Like, how, you know, like, how do we talk about what feels good to play? Or even like we were like at rehearsal the other day, I have like several new songs that I'm excited to work on. We were going to work on 3 songs that day, and like we got through 2. And I wanted to work on the 3rd one, but I could tell my band was tired. And I was like, oh, why don't we stop here? Everyone looks tired, you know, as opposed to be like, we must play by last, like, but it's simple. I mean, it's simple, but it's also not simple, you know, like you have to notice, you know, like when are your desires, like how do you align your desires with what your band wants to do? So I hope that other people are also thinking about those things.
That sounds really refreshing, honestly, because like I think that people get like, and I'm super at fault for a bit of this like mentality as well, but there's like a part of the grind culture of, you know, being a musician or an artist or what have you, I think lends itself to kind of pushing people and pushing through people's boundaries, and not on extreme levels, like I'm not talking about like harassment or anything like that, but like on these levels that people probably don't think about, like how you're talking about, I would really like to continue practice, but I can tell like these other 2 people, you know, I can just tell that, you know, through body language or whatever, because we do check-ins or because we do know about each other, like we are connected to the point where I can see that. And, you know, even though I don't think it would be the end of the world for them to, you know, play these next 2 songs, or should I push forward through that? Like, should we force people to, I mean, kind of like push past their boundaries just to, you know, get this practice in that we need, or finish writing this one part of a song that we like really wanted to complete, or that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's hard because some level, I mean, I think why I do love this band is that there is like, we do push each other, but I like that's what makes like playing music with others interesting, is like you can find your edge and get past it, or there's like challenge. And I think learning what it feels like, I don't know, it's kind of like a personal journey to feel like what, you know, it feels a healthy challenge versus a boundary crossing challenge does feel subtly different, and it can be hard to tell in the moment, which it is. But yeah, hopefully we find both, or whatever, find the right way to move together.
Jonas, by the way, said that they were going to stay in their cave for this dream, but I love Minneapolis. I'm so happy when I hear cool music coming from there. Yay. And says, I got invited to Medusa in high school and I was too scared to go.
I mean, I understand. It was I will not say anything on the record about that.
No, you're good.
Special space. Yeah.
And I mean, Jonas and I talk pretty often about how like Minneapolis feels like it could end up being a forever home kind of thing for us in the future. Not that it would be like soon, because I mean, like we're in LA out here right now, kind of out of a necessity almost, just because like I'm also in the film industry and it's kind of hard to do that anywhere else. And
for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, just like a lot of, I mean, it's a very common story. We all have lots of friends here who like, they get to a certain point playing music in Minneapolis and then they either move to New York or LA, and which is great and beautiful. And like, I can't wait to visit someday and like say stuff to everyone there. I think it's been cool seeing in my band that like, I don't think any of us are moving. Like 3 of us own homes here. Like one of us is about to have a baby. I mean, we're also all like well, I guess some of us are 29, but many of us are in our 30s, which is just like a different, I think for a lot of us, if we were gonna do like chase a certain type of dream, that perhaps we would have already done it. I don't know. Watch me eat my words. Maybe like half my band is secretly planning to move to LA and like I just don't know about it yet. But I mean, it has been amazing being like, oh, I get to play with these like really special, talented people, and none of them are moving. Like, wow. I played another band called Betazoid. It's like a synth pop trio, and one of our members or whatever moved to Boston to go to grad school, or it's like a very common story to have a band turn into a long distance band and or retire
yeah. And then you start a different band or something, like if you want to keep going for it. I mean, that happens all the time. I think the thing with Glass Beach is all of us had been in several bands before this one. And we did kind of feel like we came out of nowhere because we started the band back in 2016, right after Jonas and I moved out here. And all we did was like work on the record for like 3.5 years, and then we released it. And a few 4-ish or so months after we released it, it started picking up steam, and then here we are. So we really hadn't played live I mean, I think we'd played like 5 shows live, and Glass Beach was like not a band before this. And I mean, Jay had done some like solo stuff as under a different name that got a kind of like a tiny bit of attention as well, more than anything like Jonas, myself, or Lane had gotten. And so for a lot of people, we came out of nowhere. We're like suddenly like this prominent, like, lower level indie band in the scene, and like no one in LA knew us. Like none of the other bands like working around here, like Cheek Face, Illuminati Hotties, like Rosie Tucker, a ton of these like LA based bands. I don't think any of them knew who we were, and we didn't know who they were really either. So it's like there is something very strange and like interesting about how we moved out here, because if Jonas and I had stayed in Minneapolis, for example, and we had started something up there, like tons of people would have known us. And I mean, who knows how that would have felt like coming up there, but it's been interesting. I think I would rather be in a space that had more of like a community feel. I feel very like fortunate to have connected to people over the internet, and especially like through the pandemic, like finally feeling like a music scene, like being involved in one, which I've never really felt before, because we went to the University of Minnesota Morris, like
I got you.
I did like small prairie college.
A live stream with them. That was the other time that I did this. I like don't usually do, I'm not super into the internet or whatever.
Sure.
God bless you for being into it, It's awesome.
Shit. Well,
but I did. That was the other time when I did the thing. It was fun. My best friend went there too. That's cool. Sweet place.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's a small place. Like,
oh yeah.
And so there isn't like much. When I was there, people like Andrew and our friend KT and our friend Mitchell and a couple other people who have since, speaking of like, found out that there were some like more nefarious things going on behind the scenes, but like some of those people were distinctly responsible for kind of building a scene for musicians in Morris. And so it's been weird, like, because like we had Remo Drive come out like to play once, and like we had like Tiny Moving Parts, which like is also another hard subjected band, and but we had bands from Minneapolis like come and play all the time with us, like constantly, and like bands from like Mankato. I wish I could remember names right now, but it was the first taste of like a scene, but it was almost like visiting a scene instead of being a part of it. So it's cool to hear. And on the subject of like, people moving or that kind of thing, or like check-ins, I would say that's like one thing that our band has done, at least, like where we are checking in on what our expectations are, or like what goals are for the future. And I don't just mean like we want to have this album done by this time. No, it's more over like we don't want to live here anymore.
Yeah.
We don't. And like right now, like I said, it is kind of a necessity for me. But at some point it might just like how much can I prevent the rest of my band from moving on is like a big question.
Yeah, it's a deep. I wish I could answer it for you.
Yeah. But those are like important conversations to have.
For sure. Yeah.
And even just having it out on the table like makes it so it's not this like taboo thing like, oh, please, I hope we don't talk about this because you're all going to get disappointed in me, or you're going to be upset because you want to move and I can't, or like that kind of a thing. Like,
it is. I mean, it is scary, but I think it's helpful if you can get on the same page, even about like, I think some of us have had different visions about like touring and how much we want to tour, and just getting real about being like, well, with like 7 people, like what is realistic for touring, and like what is realistic with our other band commitments or our other work commitments. And like, you know, and I think it gets murky when a project is like something that you're doing because you love each other and it's like refreshing and it sounds good and whatever. And then also when there's like, when you're like, well, is this a career thing or not? And that's like an interesting, you know, because I've received grants in the past to make music videos, for example, or like there's some decent arts funding here. And also it's like not enough to survive on. So it's interesting when you're like, oh, like, for even like we're playing a show this coming Wednesday, and like getting everyone to like commit to a date to play a show was hard because people were like, well, what if I get an offer of another show that like actually pays me real money, or like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like navigating. And it's funny for me because I work like I have like very stable work that is not through doing this, so just interesting dynamics. So
do you see this as like a career possibility for you, or are you, and I don't even mean like, because you can be content with where you are, but if it came to it, would you grasp it, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. Don't know. I mean, I love that. Like right now, I feel like this project sustains itself. Like I feel confident that like when we spend a lot of money making a record, that I will like eventually make that money back, and that's great. And like my band will get paid for some shows along the way, and that's great. And also, I don't know. Beyond that, it's really hard to say, you know, like I like do all the stuff, like I like manage and book and just get like, it's all like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's kind of like, and I mean also, I mean frankly, like I make okay money at my other job. I think here's what I should say: for me to be able to like quit my job to do this band would be very hard, and it's a little hard for me to imagine, but if it happened, I would be down.
Okay, cool.
But I also love my other job. I maybe would be into doing, you know, like I like working with teens and staying connected to the community and whatever. So I don't know, if I could do that more part-time and this more full-time, I would. And also it's like fine if that doesn't happen. I don't know, I just try to be too attached to it because I feel like it's sort of beyond my control. And I don't know, I feel like I like hustle or whatever as much as I'm willing to, and then don't when I don't want to. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's like a clear answer. I mean, I did like a self-funded like radio campaign. I like sent our CD to like 300 radio stations, and that's cool because actually like a bunch of places picked it up, like 50 or something. I don't know, I'd have to check my spreadsheet.
I mean, that's awesome.
That's cool. And I like I made I got into like printing this year, like lino cutting. So this is like my cool accordion image. I don't know if it looks backwards or right side to you, but
it looks correct to me.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, and it's correct to stream as well. Yeah.
Nice. So I like hand printed this image on like all of the envelopes. So, you know, I don't know. I would rather do something really beautifully and deeply and maybe like foolishly than do something that makes me money. Or like for another example, we're like playing We're like playing a show on Wednesday that like the maximum capacity is 40 people. It's like a small space. It's COVID, whatever. And like I made like this print for everyone because I thought it would be cute.
Oh.
So I don't know. That's like you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know. Is this a career option? I have no idea. It seems kind of out of my control, but like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
enjoying myself. I'm so grateful that the music is moving for people, and like it's fun when we get to play shows. Like we got to play a really cool show with Sessa last year, who's this like amazing band from Brazil,
Oh,
who
okay.
was I don't know, who was touring here, and like because we have like good relationships with like the Cedar and other venues, we got to like play a really fun show with them. And like I don't know, it's a band that I love. It was super fun for me
Yeah.
to be like sweet because I like stuck around long enough, like built these good relationships. I get to play with this like sick cool, like touring band. Like all right, that's cool. You know, lots of wins. But yeah, also like my band has 7 people, so it's like just like the logistics of it being like a viable business are like
Yes.
very hard, you know.
Yeah,
So
we have 5. So
yeah, yep, you get
yeah.
it.
And
Yeah.
if it if it enlightens you at all, we're a part of like a decently like sized indie label. We're doing pretty well, like streaming numbers wise and all of that kind of thing. And like we've had like quite a few things kick off for us in very cool ways. And I think with all of that, one of us can live off of the music full time.
Yep,
So just
that
like,
makes sense. Yes,
yeah.
that is my understanding from talking to other people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So with,
Oh, that's awesome though. Congrats though. That is tight.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool. We sort of function like, that was a conversation we had to have as well. Like, where do we want to split, like even split the money from the get go, or, you know, what else do we want to do? And we have an LLC and we're all like equal partners in it. So like we have to claim whatever money that we make in the year for our business, we have to claim on our personal taxes. So so even if we aren't splitting the money like evenly, we have to like cover our costs for taxes. So like that would be like the one thing that we would make sure everyone would get, so that they're not losing like a ton of money. But
Yes.
it has been like functionally, it's the way we've been looking at it is what's the most important person, or who's having the hardest time, like they're getting the money. That's like, so for us, like Jay being the like the songwriter of the group, and also, you know, the one who does all of the mixing and mastering and is like the doing the production of the album, for forever it has been important for us to make sure that they work as little as they need to, you know, outside of it and like that kind of thing. But and then past that, like, you know, our artist Dax, we want to make sure that he has enough money to like live off of. So I think that's like the next venture. But like I work a shitload and it's not fun. And so, and it's, yeah, so it's hard to think about like where the money is going to go, like who do we feel like needs it right now, and just assess that as we go along. But that's another important subject I think that a lot of bands kind of overlook.
Yeah, I also wish that people, I don't know, like I'm like to me being transparent about money is like an anti-capitalist approach to money, or like not talking about it, I think lets it be like spooky and secretive and powerful. And I'm really inclined to be like, yeah, this is how much I make at my job, and like this is how much we got at the gig, or just be like super transparent. And it's been interesting. I feel like I have several local musicians who are like willing to talk about that, or even being like, you know, when I was trying to figure out like doing a radio campaign, if I wanted to like do it myself or get someone else to do it, I was just like, how much do people pay for these, you know? And it was helpful being like, oh, you pay that much, I am doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but getting that info from other people can be hard, because people can be a little like squeamish about talking about money, which is whatever, just not my approach.
Well, I mean, like,
So,
not only that, but I think venues and promoters and booking agents and booking managers and like even labels and stuff, I think I think there is a danger of almost like blacklisting yourself by being so open with your monetary like expenses and like what you bring in. Because I know that like for us, for example, I don't know that this is a conversation. I mean, we have not talked to them about this, but I don't know exactly that our label would be thrilled if we were just like, here's how much they gave us as an advance, and like here's like the splits for our royalties and like that kind of thing. That's something that I would want to be open about, and like if they were comfortable with it. So it's a conversation we need to have, and like our label has been like pretty chill with us challenging like a lot of the things that they're like used to. But part of that, I mean, if we were like 100% transparent and open with our contract with them, even, which is something that I would also like personally.
Yeah.
But there are like quote unquote like staples of the industry that I think labels and everything are still doing that. Like the biggest one is owning masters.
Oh yeah.
Like, so whether or not the artist gets to own their masters. And I find that like pretty predatory personally in a way. And I know it's like how a lot of labels will like be able to make their money, like, and to recoup costs of like upfront advances and stuff like that. So like if an artist doesn't ever take off or doesn't ever get popular and they like put that advance towards them, and the idea is like if they have the masters for in perpetuity, they just for the rest of that artist's life, they can and on from there, they can recoup that money.
Right.
And I understand like the risk involved there, but I just think that like certain aspects of the industry need to change drastically, and that's one of the ones that like always irks me.
Totally. Makes sense. I mean, yeah, honestly, like there's when we like were putting out this record, I like sent it to I did like a lot of emailing, I like sent it to I don't really know how many record labels, and I got a couple people be like thanks but no thanks, and mostly just a lot of like crickets. And I don't know. It's been I have been enjoying being a DIY band like 80% of the time. 80% of the time I'm like, this is tight. I just do everything myself. I have total control, like whatever. And then 20% of the time I'm like, oh, I could use some help.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's interesting hearing the different, the different pluses and minuses. I mean, it definitely was a feat being like, we made vinyl for our last record too, being like, okay, so like, how do you make vinyl? Or just like all of these, I like a lot of people were very kind to me on the phone at Vinyl Plants being like, yeah, so this is how much lead time, and if you want to make this whatever. I feel like I received a lot of kind advice from people.
Yeah. And I mean like with some of that you don't even need like a label necessarily, because we have like friends who have managers who help with a lot of that. We have a management team, like Heather's management, which is really wonderful. Mel and Lindsay are incredible, and they help with so much of like logistics and stuff that we just don't get, that we just never did. I mean, we didn't really book shows for ourselves ever, like in Glass Beach. Beforehand, like, Lane and Jay and like stuff, like booking shows was something that we all had to do, but on a large scale, like, it's nice to have somebody else to book our US tour.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like,
tight.
Our booking manager, Alex Martin, like booked that for us, and they're wonderful and really on top of that shit, and they're so good. But
nice.
with all of that, I mean, like, there's a lot of avenues for like Solidarity Club Records, like out here. They do a lot of like physicals and tapes, vinyl and stuff for bands who may not be able to afford it, or don't really like independent bands who don't have like a label or someone to help with that. So I feel like there are those, because there's another one in Seattle, I can't remember the name, but there's like Lonely Ghost Records who does that kind of thing as well, who goes out of their way to help people who don't exactly know what to do, or they have like a connection to a distributor or something. So you don't need a label, you don't need like so many things. You can start like building a team by just like finding these people, and I find them online, which I know. And honestly, I mean, when I hear your music and when I like hear you talk about it, it's funny because I can think of labels that I would pitch you to.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, where I'm just like, oh, you would totally like you. I could totally see you as like a Father Daughter Records band. I could totally see you on Epitaph. I mean, Rosie Tucker is like a good example of someone who has kind of like similar stylings to y'all, but still very different. But I also think of like Counterintuitive Records as like one that I love a lot because of their model and the way that they like build sort of their framework for the bands that they take on. And then, I mean, like our friend Jiraiya, like just did a release, like a single release pretty much, like of an EP with Chillwave Records, which is really, there's a ton of different options that isn't like signing a contract for like 10 years.
Yeah, in your blood or whatever.
Yeah. Signing away your masters and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I kind of am like, maybe for the next record we'd do it. You know, I'm open. We're open to the future. I feel like our like secret fantasy is that like a cool band that we like will be like, hey, we booked this tour. We did all of that. And like, do you want to come with us? I think that's probably every band's fantasy though. So
oh yeah,
I'll join the club.
It's ours too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. We've had one like bigger band ever that we like basically got onto the tour for, but then we dropped it for specific other reasons. And since then we've had like no like significantly larger band that was like, hey, come on tour with us. So
for sure. I mean, also I'm like, does touring exist right now? I hope that your tour, I deeply hope that it will, that it does exist and that it exists beautifully and etc. And I don't know. Yeah, I think we've been down to just kind of hang tight, and it's nice to not rush or whatever. So I don't know, see what happens. I mean, we're trying to be a band for a long time, I think. So I think that's part of our approach is like, well, what's sustainable, you know?
Yeah. And this is the last thing that I'm gonna say, but like eventually, like I have a dream of like having a music collective, which is it'll basically be like a worker owned label, in a sense, where bands will all, you know, have like a piece of it, and the bands who are doing like it's going to require very specific types of people to sign on to do it, because my intention is that like if a band takes off and one band is doing like really well, then we basically like take their money or like popularity or like the monetary gain and whatever and essentially redistribute it back down like the ladder here, so that we can like, it is my intention to be able to take, you know, bands that have like 1 million monthly listeners and use what they are able to make and use what they are able to do to make sure that bands with like 100 monthly listeners can make records and can tour and like do that kind of thing, and like, and actually be making like, I dream of a time where like a musician does not have to be like a fucking breakout star to make a living off of what they're doing. And
for sure.
And so like it's really interesting to me to like find, and I think of like Sister Species as like definitely a band I would totally want to work with in like a project like that. It's not soon, and like I'm only mentioning it because like the way that you talk about music and the way that you talk about the, you know, your communication with everybody and the things that you have going on in your life, it just like made me think of it. And but I mean, it's
exciting to hear about, and I would be excited to be in email contact about it, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Don't worry, I won't DM you on Twitter.
Nice. I don't read them.
So that you miss it or something. Yeah, but I would love to, I'd love to talk about that eventually. And then also whenever you have anything new coming up or coming out, please let me know so that we can try to help in any way that we can. Like, it is hard.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure whatever you put out in the future, I will also want you to have a listen along for. So
great. Let's I'll let you know when it's happening. I feel, you know, the timing right now, it's fun. We have like several new songs we're working on that think we're all excited about. And who knows when, you know what I mean, when they'll turn into a thing. But I'm cautiously optimistic for the future. It's my general approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it then.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun to get to listen to the record with you and other people, and to get to talk shop.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for talking to me for so long afterwards too, and everything.
100%. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the window where they can't see you, but they will still be able to hear you. I'm gonna do a closeout, and then we're good here.
Okay, great.
So, but I do want to thank you again, and thank you everyone for being here to do the listen along. I do really love this record, and you are one of the, I think, less widely known bands that
I would believe it
that I covered on here. So it's any chance I get to introduce your record to more people, I love. So
yay, thank you.
Yeah. And Steven Strick says love the stream. Rusto says thank you, lovely.
Aww,
everything. Yeah.
Sweet, y'all. Thanks for
Foster
sticking
says
around.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the. I mean, even this talking portion here at the end. Kind of surprised we still have 15 people in here, honestly.
I know, that's cool. I mean, I'm a Gemini. I like to gab. So thanks for gabbing.
So Steven Strick says this stream was such a clash of interest because my brother loves Glass Beach and I love Sister Species.
Oh.
I mean,
cute.
get your brother to love Sister Species, and hopefully you'll check out us and love our music too. But it is very different, so I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Cyan Pepper says it's been really insightful post album. The album was fantastic. Absolutely picking it up. Hell yeah! Exclamation point. Listen in the chat. Yeah, it'd take you a link to their website and a link to the Bandcamp, and you can purchase the vinyl, purchase t-shirts, all sorts of stuff. Go there, do that. Okay. Yeah. Go into the talking screen now, where you will no longer be seen. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
And then Steven Strick says, don't worry, Yoshi's Island is already on my playlist. Hell yeah. Sweet. TWIBP says, I had such a rough week. This is exactly what I needed. Oh, okay. Well, thank you all. I do these on Saturdays at noon Pacific. The one next week that I'm going to do is Nightlife, which is a band that I really love. They're like soul gent, like R&B kind of stuff. It's really, really great. It's a new release. They're a new band, but a new band of people who have been doing very cool and supportive stuff in the industry, like in the scene for a while. It's fronted by Hansel, who does production for Morning LA and Pink Shift. If you're familiar with those bands, they are really wonderful, super supportive of all of the other bands in the scene, and I'm really excited for their new project, Nightlife. It's awesome, and it kind of seems like they're taking off. So that's cool. But that's next Saturday, noon Pacific. It's going to be a great time. I'm stoked for that. I have a lot of other people coming up in the future, and I'm booking more people like every day. So if you like this, go check it out. And you can also type bit.ly/listen along YT with a capital L, a capital A, and a capital YT to bring up the playlist for all of the listen alongs that have been done so far. It's all on the Second Glass Beach channel on YouTube. Again, that's bit.ly/listen along YT, capital L, capital A, capital YT. And I made a Twitter for this show. So I will only be posting about like the upcoming shows and stuff from it. I won't be retweeting anything. I won't be doing a whole lot of stuff like extra tweeting with it. That won't be happening. So if you just look up @_listen along on Twitter, follow it and turn notifications on if you don't want to miss this stuff. I promise I won't use it to like retweet a bunch of stuff, and you won't get like a bunch of notifications. You will only get them for like when I have a show coming up or when I'm about to do one, or for promo purposes. That's it. That's going to be a great place to like get information and learn about this stuff. And I know, Emily, you don't really use Twitter, so it's okay if you don't.
I try to retweet when I try to go. I've been trying it. So it's going
it's
okay.
really okay. I don't. You know what? Twitter's not for everyone, and really, it's almost not for anyone, if you ask me. But it's fine.
I just don't. I've tried making a couple jokes, and not that many people liked it, and I got discouraged. So
Fair enough.
maybe I'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So check that out. Again, we have a tour coming up! Exclamation point tour in the chat for tickets to that. And that should be it. Thank you all for being here for this listen along. Let me see what direction do I need to be? Okay, I need to move out of the way so I can get a thumbnail. Let's see here. What should my facial expression be for the thumbnail? Should I be like surprised or?
Yeah, I like surprised or peaceful
Peaceful,
or celebratory. I don't know. Any of those are good.
Or like, so I've got that one, and then I can do like I'm a little too far over. There we go. Okay, so I'm like,
Ooh, so earnest. I like how earnest it is.
earnest.
Yep.
There's that one. That's earnest, and then I could be like, whoa.
That's good
okay,
too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, great. we got a couple of them. Okay, cool. All right, I'm done here. Thank you all. See you next Saturday. Have a good week. And thank you again, Emily.
Yay, thank you. This was fun.
I don't know if we're gonna raid someone. Are we gonna raid someone? Jonas, raid someone.
What does that mean?
It means that we're gonna take our chat and we're gonna bring it to a different stream.
Oh, cool. Nice.
We'll find out. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go to the end screen anyway. If we're gonna raid someone, it'll happen.